Hiya folks, Isaac Winchurch here from Winchurch Guitar, and today I am explaining to you how to play the Lie guitar solo by Dream Theater / John Petrucci. So this guitar solo is blisteringly fast. It is known as one of Dream Theater's most difficult and intimidating guitar solos to play, and this is understandable because the solo is replete with incredibly fast alternate picking phrases. For example, it starts with an amazingly fast legato and two-handed tapping sequence. I personally understand the people that said on my 2022 version of this video that I posted initially, and there was someone in the comments that stated just how daunted they've always felt by this solo, and so as a result of that negative emotion, that overwhelm that they have experienced, they have avoided learning the solo. And so I want to address that with not just that person but more people in the world that might want to learn this guitar solo, because it is possible to learn it. And I am talking from first-hand experience when I say that. So let me show you how it goes. So with any guitar solo that is difficult to learn and to perform, you always have to start by breaking it down into smaller, bite-sized pieces. So to that end, I have broken this solo down into 3 distinct sections. Let's start with the first section. The solo, as you know, begins with an incredibly fast and complex looking legato, which is the left-handed technique of relying on mostly hammer-ons and pull-offs, with a two-handed tapping sequence towards the end of that ascension. So let's start with breaking it down. Obviously you're going to need a 7-string guitar to learn this solo properly. You're going to need to start on fret 3 of the B string, so string number 7 that is, holding it down with your middle finger of your fretting hand or left hand. You hammer on to fret 5 with your little finger, pull off to fret 3, pull off to fret 2. The rule of thumb that you must follow with legato phrases, guys, is, at least for this solo, the idea or concept of picking the string one time with your right hand or picking hand, and then relying on your left or fretting hand to do the rest of the work. So I'm picking the 3rd fret with a downstroke, hammering on, pulling off, pulling off. Now that group of fret 3, fret 5, fret 3, fret 2, we're going to frame that as a group of notes. This group of notes is then going to be repeated 5 times in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the first thing you need to work on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After you complete that, you need to slide up to fret 3 with your index finger so that you're changing fretboard position. You're ascending 1 fret. You're then going to treat these next group of notes again as a separate group. This separate group gets repeated 1 time, which totals twice. After you slide up to fret 3, hammer on to fret 5 with your middle finger, pull off to fret 3, hammer on back to fret 5, hammer on to fret 7 with your little finger. Okay, and then by that point you need to remove your middle finger because you're going to need to pull off to fret 3 from fret 7. Like that. Then you repeat the group again. So on to 5, pull off to fret 3, hammer on back to fret 5, hammer on back to fret 7. And that is the point where you're going to leave the B string and enter the E string. Pick fret 4 on the E string first. When you hammer onto fret 5 with your middle finger, guys, you must leave that middle finger anchored. The reason you have to leave it anchored is because of what is coming. You need to hammer onto fret 7 with your little finger, pull off back to fret 5, and then hammer on straight back onto 7 on the 7th fret with your little finger without going back down to 4. If you're unsure about the order of frets at any point during this video, make sure that you download the PDF, which includes the guitar tablature for the full guitar solo. Make sure that you're reading along with that tablature as you're going through this video with me. After you've played that short sequence on the E string, it is time to move on to the A string. Now, I need to mention this. This pattern that you're learning on the A string gets repeated on the G and E strings as well. So it's worth bearing in mind right now that this pattern you're going to see it again. And this is part of what helps you to learn a solo, is breaking it down into small patterns that you then recognize, which helps to bolster your retention of those notes, of that entire sequence, because the sequence has to be broken down into individual notes. Okay? That is the pattern. It starts on fret 4, so you pick there, hammer on to fret 5 with your middle finger, hammer on to fret 7 with your little finger, pull off to fret 5, pull off to fret 4, slide up to fret 5, hammer on to fret 7 with your middle finger and fret 9 with your little finger, pull off to the last 2 frets, so pull off to fret 7, pull off to fret 5, and hammer on back up to fret 9. So make sure there that you hammer on all the way back up to fret number 9. And that note is an F sharp. Now when we get to the D string, the pattern changes again slightly. You have to start on your middle finger on fret number 7. So you start with a hammer on to fret 9. So you're holding fret 7 down with your middle finger, hammering on to fret 9 with your little finger, pulling off from fret 9 to fret 6, like that. Hammering back onto fret 7 and finishing on fret 9. Now, remember when I just said about how the pattern on the A string that we learned gets repeated on the G string? Well, here it is. So now, we have changed fretting position from what we had on the A string up 2 frets. We have gone up 2 frets to fret 6 with our index finger. And I have literally repeated the pattern that I had on the A string, starting at fret 6 this time. At that point, you're ready to enter the B string territory, starting at fret number 9, held down with your index finger. You need to go all the way up to fret 12. So fret 10 next, then fret 12 via hammer-ons. So you pick fret 9, hammer on, then you need to pull off, back down to fret 9, 1 finger at a time. So think of it as a sequence of 3 notes. You're not skipping any of those notes as you're ascending and descending. So ascend, descend, and then ascend again. Then you're ready to move on to the E string. You play a similar sequence to what you played on the B string, on string 2, that is, but you do not ascend the second time, the same way that you did on the B string. So you play fret 9, you pick it, so hammer on to fret 10, hammer on to fret 12 next, pull off to fret 10, pull off to fret 9. At that point though, you need to slide up to fret 10, like that. Slide up with your index finger. At that point, you're ready to hammer on to fret 12 with your middle finger and fret 14 with your little finger. And for those of you that are discerning and observant, you will have just noticed that the phrase that we established, that Petrucci establishes on the A string, just got repeated in its 3rd octave. So that is pretty cool. This is the point in which this section of the solo introduces the right hand to start tapping notes on the fingerboard. So you can see there how I'm just easing my right hand up to the area that it needs to be in, and I'm deciding to use my middle finger as the elected tapping finger. You can choose your own finger. It could be your index finger that you decide to use. It could be, some guitar players like to use their plectrum instead to tap. You tap twice on the 16th fret and you're pulling off to fret 14. Bearing in mind here that you're keeping your left hand in position throughout those taps on fret 16. And when I say in position, that means you're holding down your middle finger on fret 12 and your little finger on fret 14 still. You must not remove them. It is worth bearing in mind at this point that your tapping finger of your right hand, or tapping hand, is only going to be situated at frets 16, 17 and 14 throughout this entire section. So after you pull off twice on fret 16, pull off one fret at a time down to fret 10. Then hammer straight back on with your tapping hand to fret 17 without hammering your left hand fingers back up to fret 14. Tap twice on fret 17. At that point you need to have silently put your left hand fingers back into frets 12 and 14. As you can see mine are doing there. Same again, so tap twice on fret 17. So 17, 14, 17, 14, pull off, pull off. Then you're going to hammer onto fret 12 with your middle finger and pull off to fret 10. Then you're going to hammer straight back onto fret 16 with your tapping hand. You're going to tap twice on 16 down to 14. Then you're going to pull your little finger off down to 12. Then you're going to put your middle finger of your tapping hand back, or whatever finger that you're using for that matter, back onto fret 16 as your left hand is held down on fret 12. So it's holding fret 12 and it's not moving down to fret 10 yet. It's not pulling off down to fret 10 yet. Then you need to remove your middle finger and pull off to fret 10. Then put both fingers back into position, pull off to fret 14, tap back onto fret 16, pull off to fret 12, tap back to 16, pull off to fret 10, back on 16, slide your index finger of your left hand down to fret 9, pull off to fret 9. Put your little finger of your left hand onto fret 12 and your middle finger onto fret 10. Hammer onto fret 16, pull off to 12. Hammer on 16, or tap 16, pull off to fret 10. Hammer on 16, pull off to 9. Then slide your tapping hand down 2 frets, down to fret 14. Slide your left hand down to fret 7. Tap 14, pull off to 7. Tap 14 again, pull off to fret 10. Held down with your little finger. Tap 14 again, pull off to fret 9. Tap 14, pull off to 7. Tap 14 on the B string next, so we're entering the B string now. Just move your left hand into the same 3 frets as you had on the E string, but on the B string now. Pull off to fret 10. Hammer on to fret 14, pull off to 9. Hammer on to 14, pull off to fret 7. Same again on the G string, so hammer on or tap fret 14 with your right hand. Pull off to fret 10, hammer on 14, pull off to fret 9, hammer on 14, pull off to fret 7, then finish the section off by hammering onto fret 9 with your ring finger and pulling off to fret 7. Here it is, slowed down. this point, you're ready to move on to part 2 or section 2 of the solo. This section is comprised up entirely or exclusively of unison bends. The rule of unison bends, as you should already know by now, is you bend the lower string upwards. Unison bends come as a pair of strings, so for example the G and the B strings, and you always have to bend up the higher string, leaving the lower string note static. Alright guys, so to do this first unison bend you need to put your index fingers on fret 7 of the B string, and you leave that note static, you do not bend it. You put your middle fingers and your ring fingers as a pair of fingers down on frets 8 and 9. So your middle finger should be around fret 8, your ring finger should be on fret 9. You then bend fret 9 on the G string up a whole tone or step. Keep bending until you hear the dissonance in the sound waves disappear. Like that. Repeat the same thing starting on fret 9 of the B string. Then repeat the same thing starting on fret 10. Okay, when you get to the E string and the B string, I would suggest that you stick with the same fingering as what you had on the B and the G strings, even though the fretting distance has increased by 1 fret. So for example, in the first string bend, the B string note is on fret 10, whereas the E string note is still on fret 7. Alternatively, if you want to train your little finger to do the string bend on the B string, you can do so. But if you're going to do that, I would suggest that you back it up with your middle and ring fingers. The next string bend starts on the E string fret 9. The B string fret 12 is bent upwards a full tone. Move the shape up 1 fret and repeat again there. So that's fret 10 and fret 13, and the last string bend in the sequence is fret 12 and 15, bending fret 15 up to fret 17. This puts you in the position of being prepared to start section 3 of the solo. Okay, I'm going to break down this section note for note for you, using just this camera angle for you to see exactly what my hands are getting up to. So as the tab suggests, it starts at fret 17 on the B string. I drag my plectrum personally across the lower strings and ease into, so I drag it across and I then enter the B string from that muted sweep pick. If you've never seen that before, that is a very common blues, rock, metal guitarist phrasing technique to employ that a lot of professionals such as John Mayer, John Petrucci, David Gilmour, a lot of these top guitar players, Brian May, they have used that in multiple instances in the past. So after you pick fret 17, bend up to fret 19 as the tab states. So you bend up, you have to quickly depress the string to its starting position, so fret 17 that is, and then bend up to 19 again. Only apply the vibrato at the end of the second bend. You have to tailor it to your specific tastes. Then put your index finger on fret 14. Now in terms of the picking direction there, I would start on fret 17 with a downstroke, play the second string bend with an upstroke, and that therefore, if I'm sticking to the alternate pick technique, would mean that fret 14 on the E string has to be played with a downstroke. Fret 19, held down with my little finger in this case, is played with an upstroke. Pull off to fret 14. So down, up, down, pull off. Play fret 16 with your middle finger holding it down and an upstroke with your plectrum. Pull off to fret 14. Downstroke on fret 18 again on the B string. Then descend with your left hand to fret 13. Holding your index finger down there. Hammer on to fret 14 with your middle finger and pull off back to fret 13. And there we see our first instance of a chromatic line, which is fret 17 on the B string, 16, 15 and 14. 4 fingers in a row, starting from your little finger, descending 1 finger at a time, down to your index finger. So, to explain all of that again, that first phrase, this is bar 9. Down pick, string bend up pick, string bend up, bit of vibrato there. Downstroke on fret 14, upstroke on fret 19, pull off to fret 14. Downstroke on fret 17, pull off to fret 14. Upstroke on fret 18. Downstroke on fret 14. Upstroke on fret 16. Pull off to fret 14. Downstroke on fret 18. Upstroke on fret 13. Hammer on to fret 14, pull off to fret 13. Downstroke on fret 17, upstroke on fret 16, downstroke on fret 15, upstroke on fret 14. If you do actually finish on fret 14 with an upstroke, this, in my opinion, works to your advantage because it helps you to start on fret 16 on the E string with a downstroke. So you play a downstroke there, down, up, and it's fret 16, 17, 16, 14. When you get to the B string, play the same 4 notes in a row as what we did a moment ago in bar 9. So we're into bar 10 now, for context. So it's 17, 16, 15, 14. Starting at the E string again, fret 16 with your ring finger, fret 17 with your little finger, back to 16 with your ring finger, down to fret 14, held down by your index finger. Down to the B string, 17th fret, little finger, 16th fret, upstroke, obviously you can see that. Ring finger holding that down. Downstroke on fret 15, holding it down with your middle finger. Fret 14, index finger, upstroke. So down, up. Play fret 17 one time on the G string with a downstroke. Go straight back up to fret 14 of the B string with your index finger with an upstroke. Then it's fret 15, fret 17, fret 15, fret 14. Then change position slightly, so move your entire hand down 1 fret so the index finger is covering fret 13 and your little finger is covering fret 16 now. Play fret 16, then fret 14, then fret 13. So 16, 14, 13. Go straight back up to 16 and repeat the descending 3-note phrase there. So 16, 14, 13, 16, 14, 13. Again, we must move position with our left hand down to fret 11 this time with our index fingers. Play fret 11 first with the downstroke. Play fret 14 with an upstroke. Hold fret 14 down with your little finger. Play fret 13 with a downstroke. Hold it down with your ring finger. Play fret 11 again with an upstroke, held down with your index finger again. Move position down another 2 frets, down to fret 9 this time, guys. Down to fret 9 this time. Okay? Stretch your little finger up to fret 13. Position your middle finger over fret 11. Start on fret 9 with a downstroke. Play fret 13 with an upstroke. 11 with a downstroke. Play fret 9 again with an upstroke. Fret 12 on the D string one time with a downstroke. Then play fret 11 with your little finger, upstroke. So we've changed position yet again. Index finger is now hovering above fret 7 on the G string. So play fret 11 with an upstroke, fret 9 with a downstroke, fret 7 with an upstroke, slide down to fret 6 with just your left hand index finger. Skip past the D string, straight into the A string. So string 5 that is. Hold down fret 9 with your little finger. This is where the economy picking is first introduced in this section. I would use all downstrokes for this 3-note arpeggio. Fret 9 on the A string, followed by fret 7 on the D string and fret 6 on the G string. So downstroke, downstroke, downstroke. So a short sweep pick, if you will. Play fret 9 with an upstroke on the G string, fret 7 with a downstroke, fret 6 with an upstroke. Then, this is the second time in this section that you see a chromatic line appear. We've got fret 9, 8, 7 and 6 on the D string. All should be played with alternate picking starting with a downstroke. So, fret 9 downstroke, fret 8 upstroke, etc. Then you can pick fret 9 again with a downstroke and slide up 2 frets to fret 11. Then play an upstroke on fret 9 of the G string and hammer onto fret 11 with your ring finger. We're going to see another short sweep pick appear now. So that was from fret 11 on the G string that I just hammered onto with my ring finger. I then positioned my middle finger over fret 10 of the B string, played that with a downstroke, and then positioned my index finger on fret 9 of the E string and played that also with a downstroke. The third time that we're going to see a chromatic line appear. This time we see an ascending chromatic line as opposed to a descending chromatic line, and it also happens with a changed rhythm. But again, your picking should not be changed from the alternate picked approach. So after you reach fret 9 on the E string with your downstroke, you then need to play fret 10, fret 11 and fret 12 with one finger at a time. Then slide up to fret 14 with your little finger without picking. Then pick on fret 12 held down with your index finger on the B string with a downstroke and slide down to fret 10. Play fret 12 on the E string with an upstroke. So after you slide down to fret 10 on the B string, guys, squash your middle finger into fret 10 on the E string. Let your index finger drift towards fret 9 on the G string. Okay, and I played fret 10 on the E string with an upstroke and fret 9 on the G string with a downstroke. Then I'm going to play fret 10 once on the B string with an upstroke. So that was an upstroke there. And that's where we see another instance of economy picking, so 3 upstrokes. That's just a bar, so my index finger is barring now across fret 9 on the G and D strings and rolls in the process, so to not catch both or to make both of those notes sound out simultaneously. They need to sound individuated as opposed to simultaneous there. That is an important point to consider. Point where we enter the wide slide that I mentioned earlier. Start with a downstroke on fret 10 of the B string. Stretch out your middle finger to hammer on to fret 12 of the B string. Downstroke, hammer on, then jump your entire hand up to fret 16 because that is where the slide starts. Pick 16 on the E string with an upstroke. Those 3 notes create a sophisticated movement in your left hand that you need to practice. Pick on fret 16 again with a downstroke and slide all the way up to fret 22 as the tab stipulates. And pray that you have enough overdrive and distortion and gain to make the bend ring out up to its climax. Once you bend up to fret 24 from fret 22, you want to depress the bend without letting go so that you hear the descent. Like that. Then remove your middle finger from the fingerboard, go down to fret 21, pick up a semitone, or bend up a semitone, should I say. Bend that up a semitone. You should have played fret 22, well, the slide with the downstroke, so the 21st fret should be played with an upstroke as a result. And I'm going to advocate for more economy picking here, because when I recorded this solo, I entered the B string with an upstroke, breaks the pattern of alternate picking, and replaces it with sweep picking. So we're on to bar 12 now, guys. Fret 23 on the B string is played with an upstroke. Fret 21 on the G string is also an upstroke. So after you play fret 21 on the G string, slide down to fret 19. Keep your little finger handy because that is going to be needed for fret 22 on the B string. Picking wise, I would play fret 23 with an upstroke, fret 21 on the G string with an upstroke, slide down, fret 22 on the B string with another upstroke. In fact, I would play fret 22 with a downstroke. Fret 19 on the G string with an upstroke, slide down to fret 18. Fret 19 on the D string with an upstroke, fret 21 on the A string with an upstroke, fret 19 on the A string with a downstroke, slide down to fret 17 on the A string, fret 19 on the D string with another upstroke, fret 17 on the A string with an upstroke. I know the tab does not state this, but I think you should pull off to fret 16 rather than pick it. Okay, pull off to fret 16, play fret 17 on the E string, play 16 on the A string one more time, pick fret 17 on the E string, probably with an upstroke at that point, slide up to fret 19 to reach the final note of the solo, which you should apply some heavy vibrato to. So just to recap that last section. So, upstroke, upstroke, slide down 2 frets. Downstroke, upstroke, slide down a fret. Upstroke, upstroke, downstroke, slide down 2 frets. Upstroke, upstroke, pull off, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, and slide up 2 frets. Cheers guys, thank you for watching and make sure you subscribe. See you next time.